Happy Friday, everybody. A weird way to start a weekly vlog, I know, but this week is just probably going to merge in with next week's, purely on the basis of the fact that I've not done anything this week, really, but I need to get my ass in gear. So I got back from Turkey about a week ago, which was an absolutely lovely holiday. Like, it was everything I needed. We were there for 10 days, and everybody was saying like 10 days is the perfect middle ground because it's a bit more than a week, and some people get fed up by the 2 weeks. No, honestly, if you'd said to me, Michaela, you can stay there for another 2 weeks, I would have said yes, please. The only thing that I missed was being able to have my own food and not have to eat out every day because unfortunately I'm a pig. So every day that we went out, I drank way too much beer. Not to get drunk levels or anything, I just drank too much beer and ate too much food. The 3 courses, you go and you're like, I'm just gonna have a main. No, no, the 3 courses tickle you about sometimes, and you end up with a starter and then maybe dessert. Although I didn't often get the desserts, to be honest, I mostly got starters. But fucking hell, they feed you out there. So that was really lovely, but I'd had enough of that, to be honest. I just really wanted a tin of soup and some pasta, as my typical dinners would usually be. And since then, since I got back, I spent Saturday cleaning, doing all the laundry and everything that you do, seeing Len again and making sure he was all right. He was absolutely fine. I went to work Sunday, Monday. Um, Monday night, I went out. Tuesday night, I went out. I didn't do basically anything on Tuesday. I've been doing laundry here and there because stuff needs washing always. Um, Wednesday, what did I do? I was like dastardly hungover. Like, oh my god, went out way too late Wednesday night. But one of my friends is leaving, so we were like, we need a good last night out together before she left. So we did that, and then yesterday again, I did absolutely nothing. Um, I don't know. I'm really bad once I lose a routine to get back into it. So I'm actually running out of days now to have got any work done. So I'm starting another vlog purely to give myself the motivation because, as I've said in the past, sometimes having a vlog and then having to hold myself accountable because I've got to talk about doing uni work on here, that's my whole thing. The stick. Hopefully that'll make me do some work. So we'll see about that. Right now, today's plans is I need to go into town because I need to buy some deodorant and I want to get a meal deal from Tesco's. And I need to go buy some safety pins because somehow I've accidentally become the safety pin fairy for graduation. I wish somebody told me I needed safety pins for my graduation because that shit don't fit. Don't matter that you told them a size that would fit you, it won't fit. You need some safety pins. And so I was like, I'll go get some because Jack will want some. And then his friend Enrique was like, will you do me as well? I said, yeah. And I'm suspecting there's going to be other people about who I know because there's quite a lot of people graduating on the Monday who I know who might want a safety pin or two. So I need to go find the biggest box of safety pins I can find so I can help everybody out on Monday because that's why I want to be there. I'm really glad I'm not graduating this time. I just want to be around to like help people if I can. So that's the plan. So I'm gonna go into town, do all that, and when I come back, we need to have a look at this to-do list, guys, because one of my friends at work the other day asked me how my meeting went before I went on holiday, and I actually was like, I can't remember a single thing that anybody said. I've slept quite a bit since then. I've holidayed. I've been in different countries. I went to Glasgow and Turkey post that meeting, so I don't have a fucking idea what was said. So I'm gonna go now and start talking because it's already been 5 minutes. What the hell? And I will chat to you later about where we are at with the degree. Also, really quickly, I've done my nails for Jack's graduation. I was looking at back at that video and I was like, there's an elephant in the room and it's my sparkly nails. So reminder of the dress, I'll put it here really quick, or the dress that I got for his graduation. It's from Joe Brown's. I got it on sale like 6+ months ago, like a long time ago, from the designer outlet in York. And I was a bit worried about wearing it because I came back from holiday expecting it to be an alright temperature. It's been 30 degrees. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to wear it. However, the weather temperature looks like it's dropping next week, so that's good. And the graduation's at 9 a.m., so I'm going to be walking about in it in 7 a.m. And I think it's only going to be like 10, 12 degrees then, so I think I'll be fine. I did have a stress the last couple of days and I did order some dresses to try on as like backup options and I hated all of them. So we're just gonna go with it. But because it's got gold on the dress and Jack bought a gold tie to wear for his graduation, I was like, I need to wear it. We decided we're kind of matching low key. And so I don't wear gold jewelry, I only wear silver. So I decided to do like a mixed metal kind of nail. So I use both silver and gold chrome on the nails. I think you can see them there, but I'll insert a picture which might be better and easier to see. So I kind of just did some like abstract florally kind of patterns, obviously a star in there, because the dress has like it's almost like a paisley. I don't know if that's the correct term. Abstract flowery vibes, and so is his tie. It's also a paisley gold tie. So I was like, we'll do that. I'll be honest, I don't think the silver or gold chrome looks any different in any light. It all just looks metallic of sorts. But I'm really happy with them, and I did that last night. So just wanted to show you those real quick because I'm really proud of them. I'm now an isolate chrome baddie. Okay, I can do it now. Right, I'm back now. I hope you can't hear the children crying across the street. But I sorted and got all the stuff I needed in town. I uploaded a bunch of clothes to Vinted. The name for my Vinted is the exact same as this account and my Instagram. If you're interested, probably not. That's fine. And I've had a shower, and now I've just sat through and read all of the notes from my supervisor in the TAP meeting, but also like the official uploaded stuff on SkillsForge. So I've got some bullet points here, and this is basically my to-do list, so I need to change this into some kind of to-do list. I was told that there's value in exploring if biases still exist. How does it present, and how does that change what we do? That's my entire research project, basically. So cool, thanks for the comment. Disentangling language being used to make space about assumptions around Neanderthals. I'm not entirely sure what that meant, to be honest, but I gathered from that I need to be careful in what I'm writing, keep the focus on Neanderthals and our changing views on them, and separate out the reality of Neanderthals' lives and then how we study them, because at the end of the day, there's huge portions of their lifestyle that we don't know, that we can't make assumptions about. I need to think about biasing factors in my analysis, how that might look, what can we do about this, how do we be the difference almost, like can we make any suggestions on what we can do differently to improve the amount of bias in our work, um, and make suggestions about what to do about potential biasing factors or language used in consideration in future research, which I was intending to do that in my discussion once I kind of knew what the factors exactly were. Um, Also, we have this big issue over keywords. They were very serious about my issue on keywords, being how am I going to select them? How do I ensure that I'm not being biased in the words I'm selecting? Could AI help with a bigger body of analysis in the data and exploring? Because the idea is that smaller scale and manual analysis is more likely to be biased than through more automated systems. And can I talk to anybody about keyword selection, such as making a group of experts to audit my keywords? Which I do agree with. So maybe one of my first things I need to figure out is the keywords I'm looking for, to be honest, at this point. Because I got to get into this research ASAP. So I need to think about my categories, the keywords which will go into those, and then maybe ask some people about if that makes sense. I don't I'm scared. Um, can we be more specific on the methods? What will it look like? Can I do a literature review of other people who've used a similar method? So linguistic analysis for picking out biases in research. Can I be specific on how we're avoiding biases? Use R script to pull out the keywords as a form of automation. I was suggested to speak to somebody in the Paleo Hub about that, especially about building a script in R, but also maybe Peter Shower, who's like the guy who teaches computational archaeology. So maybe looking for Skills Lab, talking to him or the other guy. So we'll see about that. What am I going to do with the words once I've picked them out? Am I just going to be looking at prevalence or the way it's used in argument? I was thinking maybe connotation, because for me, my imagination is that the original biases, the way they're phrased, were more direct, whereas they've kind of merged into a common part of like lexicon, if that makes sense. So they don't necessarily have the exact same implications as they did originally, but it's underlying bias. Does that make sense? I feel like I need a really good example from the literature to demonstrate what the hell I mean, but I don't have that yet. So maybe the first step, actually, now I'm thinking about it, is to find the literature, and then think about keywords in the literature, make up my keyword list, have some examples, ask people if they think this is a good idea or not, or if like what the situation is, and then I can go through with my analysis But before I can do the analysis, I need to come up with the R script. So that's these 5 things I need to be thinking about this month, or next month. I guess it's nearly August now. Repeated use of the phrase bias and influence in my intro and lit review. Can I come back to these and revise that to refine my point? Because they were right. When I said bias and influence, they're very abstract words, and I'm not very specific on what I mean. But again, it's because I need like the literature examples first. So yeah, whatever. I did like the idea of using a comparison of Neanderthal and modern humans, like words associated with early modern humans and Neanderthals, because I might be saying it's a bias because it's used against Neanderthals, and that has a lot of the time connotation of um, being inferior, but actually we might use the same phrases and words for early modern humans. Does it then still have the same connotation if we know that we're talking about people and Neanderthals with it? I don't know. So that's where we're up to with that, basically. I'm gonna try come up with a to-do list now, basically step by step of what I think the next things are to do. Then maybe I can start with some of that tomorrow morning slash afternoon, probably, because I don't get up in the morning. Hey everybody, it's the next day now. Not that you'll be able to tell because I'm wearing the exact same pajamas and I haven't redone my hair since yesterday's shower. And I'm gonna do some uni work because I just feel like I need to do something. But I've just got a bunch of stuff on my mind that I feel like I need to talk out loud so I can get on with some other stuff. First thing, I really want to do something creative. And I got my like sketchbook out and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And it stays like this where I just feel like I really wish I had my own room with a desk that had all my arts and crafts shit out. So then I could just sit down and do a little bit of summer and then have somewhere easy to put it away without having to like try like squirrel it away under a step or whatever. Like this house is not optimized for hobbies at all. And I mean it doesn't help that I'm in the middle of washing bedding, so there's no bottom sheet on this right now. I changed the pillowcases, but I needed to wash the mattress cover, and that's currently washing. But I just feel like I'm really missing a bit of creativity in my life. Like, just be able to have like my pens, sketchbook, or like, just stuff out. Like, when I was in first year and I had my own room with my desk and everything, I had all my arts and crafts stuff out on the desk. So like if I didn't have my laptop out, the whole desk was free and I could just sit there and draw or paint while I was watching something, and it wouldn't have to be this whole ordeal of setting up to put away. Like it's just a pain in the ass. Second thing, I've been really having an existential crisis about what the future is going to hold at the minute, and I think that and some other thoughts I'm having, which I don't feel comfortable sharing, is usually a sign that I could be slipping back into a bad mental health episode. And we know how hard I've worked the last few months to get out of that, especially after having spoken to um, a counsellor at the uni. And like just before I went on holiday, he emailed me being like, because the semester's over, I'm going to close your case, but please email me if you need anything. And I was like, I'm cured, whatever. And now I've come back from holiday and I'm like, oh no, I'm back in the same cycle. So to nip that in the bud, I've already tried some journaling, but I just want to talk about this now because if anybody else is a master's student and watching this, not that I have literally any viewers, but maybe this will help you also feel like you're not alone in this scenario. The scenario being, once the master's is done, I'll be finished in January. But then what do I do after that? Because I really want to do a PhD, but the problem with my uh, archaeology is there's not really any paid PhDs. That's not a thing. They're not really funded, unless you're very lucky and in some kind of like scientific lab-based research group or something. Um, Paleolithic research doesn't really have any funding. I mean, we spoke about it a couple of weeks back when I went to Cresswell Crags and how there's actually like no funding even in museum spaces for Paleolithic archaeology. The excavations almost don't exist. Um, and especially I think in where I live in the UK. Obviously, I can think of multiple places, say in Europe, which are doing like Paleolithic archaeology and might have funding, but I'm not moving countries anytime soon. First of all, I can't speak another language, at least not fluently enough where I'd feel comfortable moving to a whole new country. Two, Jack's kind of locked into York for the next 4 years, so unless I'm brave enough and somehow find the money to move away, that's not happening. Like, I'd have to have some really well funded PhD or a job set up elsewhere that could help me pay for accommodation and living expenses, which I don't currently have. And in some way, he's like a little safe space because I know he's going to have plenty of money from his PhD. So, God forbid something goes wrong, it's not like I'm going to end up on the streets. And I do have a job currently, even though I don't really want to go back to this job in the new year, but I'll get to that in a second. So it's not like I'm unemployed or whatever. Like I have this kind of safety net here in York, so that's quite stressful. And like if I don't do the PhD, maybe I'll do a PGCE, a teaching qualification in history. Wow, doesn't that sound awesome? Regardless of which one of those options I choose to try and do, I'll still have between January and September where I'm not doing anything. So I do need to get a proper job, whether that's going back to full time at my current job instead of part time or looking for an entirely new job. Who knows? I have been looking like every single day on Indeed um, for any jobs in heritage, museums, um, somewhat historical teaching, or a way to be involved in history in York. You'd think, being the place it is, there'd be tons of jobs, but unless you want to work on the welcome desk at the railway museum, um, or be an actor in the ghost tour bus, there's literally fuck all at the minute, and it's been about the same situation for the last 4 months. Um, Even had a look on Badger, which is British Archaeological Jobs resources online. Yeah, unless you want a senior role, which I obviously am not qualified for, and a lot of them are field work, which again I'm not very qualified for because I've done field work twice in my life, um, and I've never had the opportunity to do other excavations because I've got no money, and I don't feel like I know enough about field work to walk into a site and go, I can help. And a lot of them are like geophysicists, analysts, and like excellent jobs, but nothing I'm qualified for. So I'm like, right, screwed. Do I just get another job in hospitality? Please, no. I've had enough of hospitality. Um, so I just don't really know what to do. Like, I need to have a look more into the funding situation for PhDs because I know you can get more government loans. Just what I needed. Not like I'm already £57,000 in debt or anything. So I could do that, but then I have to find somebody who's willing to take on my research, and I also have to come up with a research question, which like fucking hell, man, that's difficult. At least when you apply for fully funded PhDs, they often already have a question or a topic in mind, and then you come on board and do with it what you will. When you have to self fund or self present research in that way, you have to pick multiple supervisors, come to them with ideas, see what they think, and if they're willing to supervise you. But then at the end of the day, you still have to pay for it, and they still might say no. So that's a little bit of a problem that I'm stressing about. And if I do the PGCE, that's pretty much guaranteed to get me a job in teaching history. Will there be any jobs in York after I finish that? Who knows? If I do that, am I going to have to? I will have to travel to schools to do placements, which makes having a job at the same time difficult because you have to just be like, sorry, can't work for 6 weeks because I've got to go work at a school for free. And obviously you don't get any money for that. So that's another financial thing to consider. I'm a little bit like, well, if I worked for 7 months in between, then by the time it comes around to placements and stuff, I would have a backlog of money, which is cool. And I've done that already for like the last 4 years, working in advance to save the money. But that doesn't make it any less stressful of a financial situation, obviously. And so I'm just feeling a bit like, what do I do? Now, I've spoke to a few of my friends, and one of them kind of came up with the idea that we're in an experimental age, which is fun because archaeology is named in ages, Bronze Age, Iron Age, Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic. They're all, you know, something age. That's what that means, like New Age, Old Age, Middle Age. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we're in the experimental age, which means you don't have to know what you're doing. You can just try a bit of everything and see if you like it. And I totally subscribe to that. However, in a world with such serious issues with financing things and a lack of jobs, it's not actually as easy as it seems or should feel to do to just try things. I almost feel like I want to be in like a early 2000s comedy sketch TV show kind of thing, like New Girl or How I Met Your Mother, where they're just doing shit and somehow they've got the money for it. That's how I wish life was, but it's not. So I'm just feeling a little bit lost in the sauce of what the hell's going on in the future. And I know realistically I don't need to worry about it too much because I've still got till end of January to finish this degree and I can't start anything else new until September. So I have 8 months to figure it out. But not really, because I need to be looking for new jobs as soon as possible. I need to be looking and applying and thinking about research questions that maybe I could propose as a PhD. And like, I really want to go to the extent of the PhD because I want to lecture in archaeology. Like, I want to teach Paleolithic history. I want to work at the University of York Archaeology Department, but I don't think there's any jobs really going there anyway, so that doesn't really work. And if not that, like teaching history, I'm cool with that, but I would feel a bit disappointed because I low-key want to be a doctor. So I want to do that. But I don't know, guys. It's all feeling a little bit stressful right now. And it's like stressful, but not because it's kind of in that field of like important need to think about, but it's not urgent to figure out. Do you know? So yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling at the minute. And now I'm gonna try do some uni work. Okay, me again. About an hour or so later, I've been sat doing some uni work. So I made a to-do list after looking through all of the comments I'd had from the TAP meeting. And after looking at those, I decided top priority at the minute is probably collecting all of the papers that I want to use to do data analysis on. This is really difficult. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just find papers that talk about Neanderthals. In my mind, I was like, anything that's talking about creative culture because that's specifically like what I'm looking at. However, now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, actually, I should just get any paper that mentions Neanderthals at all in any capacity about their capabilities, basically. And, I'm looking for things that are using evidence or that suggest that there's some kind of bias, be it the colonial, racial, etc., that I've talked a million times about. However, if I only look for papers that mention those things, then my data analysis is obviously going to be biased, and I can't be doing that. So then I'm like, literally anything that mentions Neanderthals, whether that be about stone tools, their existence, etc. And like, I found a paper that was solely talking about them, but it was just talking about the formation of the bloody humerus, like, or the pelvic bone. Like, there's no point in saving that because that's not going to give us any indication of the capacities of Neanderthals or the interpretations that these authors are making about them. That's purely just a description of what the bone looks like. So I'm always having to censor myself and be selective here, but like, I don't know how far is too far on selection before it turns into bias, or what's the word, like confirmation bias. Do you know what I mean? So I'm literally just scrolling through, and like, some of them literally only have like one sentence about a Neanderthal, and it won't actually be anything about the Neanderthals themselves. I'm kind of brain farting a little bit, and I've got like 20 more pages to look through of papers, and I'm clicking on the ones that seem like they're relevant, generally ones that are from like anthropological or archaeological journals, because there's literally no point doing every single one because some of them are not relevant whatsoever. And I'm trying to figure it out, but it's a little bit difficult. And obviously, I've got 5 papers, got 25 more pages to look at, and this is just journals. And now I'm thinking maybe I should include chapters of books and things too, because I don't know if all the journals are going to be everything I need, because a lot of solid archaeologists in the time, they'd publish a book or write a chapter of a book about something, and that would probably also be inherently useful. So I'm going to look through all the journal ones and then probably have to look through the chapters of books as well. And I feel like it's going to take me a long while, you know what I mean? And like, I was also thinking about, I forgot, oh my god, I needed to like rank them by like most cited as well. I didn't even think about that. So I might have to start again. That's awesome. Yay. So maybe actually we'll just call this a day and we'll re-go some other time. I don't know. This is way harder than I thought it was gonna be. Happy Monday, everybody. It's graduation time. Give us a fit check. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Makeup.
For the degree of Master of Biology in Bioscience Biotechnology and Microbiology, Jack Evans.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Hope you can hear me over the fan. I've just had a shower. Hair is currently in the bonnet, if that's what you call it. I don't really know. Hair cap thing. Because my curly hair is still looking good and I was not going to wet it again. We had such a good day out yesterday for Jack's graduation. I'm so proud of him. Like, the whole ceremony was really cool and I was really, really happy to be the person in the audience this time and not actually doing the whole graduation thing. It didn't feel half as stressful as mine did a year ago. And it was just so nice, got to whoop whoop clap for him. I was so proud. And then he won another award for like best performance in his like cohort thing as well, which was really cool. We had dinner out, went to Bill's, yummy. And in the evening, we came home, had a nap, and then went back out. So we went to a friend's house, saw some people there. Then we went into town, and we met some other people because some of our other friends are also graduating today. A few graduated yesterday. So I think that means we're probably going out again tonight, which is kind of crazy. Although I literally barely drank anything. I think I had like 4 beers all of last night and I didn't get home till midnight and I'd been up since 5 a.m. So it's a very long day. Got up this morning and it's our 8 year anniversary. Woo! Happy anniversary to me and Jack, even though we technically celebrated on Saturday night. But shout out to that anyway, because that means it's been 8 years since we went on our first date. Went to Saltaire, if you know it, you know. And we walked around the park, we had ice cream, we chit chatted, got to know each other, and ever since then, we've just been talking every day. And now we have a cat, we have a house, we've got 2 degrees between us, which is pretty cool. And life's pretty awesome, isn't it, really? I'm feeling in a really good mood today. I don't know why, I just am. Um, Uni work wise, since that's kind of what this whole master's thesis vlog situation is, I obviously have not touched any of that since, is it Friday, basically, because, or Saturday. I haven't done any of it since Saturday. So I need to go back and do some more of that work this afternoon. But I'm going to go have some lunch and then do that. So I'll catch up with you later this evening. So it's now 7 p.m. I think I've basically collected all I could from Google Scholar and JSTOR on the 1960s to 1969 period. But while I've been doing it, I've been making notes of some things I want to discuss with my supervisor on Friday because I have a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainties with about what I'm selecting to save. So struggling with selecting sources, basically my key overhead of these notes. Am I only looking for ones which mention Neanderthals in detail in the text and not just a brief mention? Because obviously, when you search Neanderthal, and I've been sorting them by relevance, which should, in an ideal world, give me the most cited first, apparently. Not sure how true that is, but I have been looking to see how many times things have been cited. Problem with articles from such a long time ago is the record keeping of citation and things like that from the 1960s is significantly less than it is today because obviously they're all digitized currently, by the time they were not. So that's a little bit difficult. And there honestly were not that many sources that actually specifically were talking about their either behavior or capacity, which is kind of the key to my interpretation about, either using colonial language, racial language, um, ideas of primitive or inferiority, all those things. Well, if they're not going to talk about that, if they literally just briefly mention them, sometimes they don't even refer to them as Neanderthals at this point in time. Sometimes it's just primitive man or early Paleolithic man or occasionally Cro Magnon, which I could be wrong here, but it seems a bit wishy washy as to when they use the word Cro Magnon, if they mean Neanderthals or very early primitive modern human types, so Homo sapien in its earliest form. So I don't know. And I'm also like, how much of the journal article do I skim read before I commit to adding it that it then becomes biased in itself? Because I'm looking for them to be kind of presenting information about Neanderthals in a potentially biased way. But if I'm looking for that, then does that make my data biased? I don't really know. I think it'll become more clear in more recent sources. However, the earliest ones I'm kind of struggling with. So I'm glad I've started with them because I think more recent sources will be a lot easier to kind of figure out all this information. Um, Also, just how do I discard a paper for maybe not being relevant? What is my criteria for relevance? I might need a bit of help and guidance with that. Best way to save articles. Also, I've been downloading them all as PDFs and also writing citation of them in a separate document chronologically with all the details. But is PDF the best way to do it? I don't know. So we'll find out about that. Either way, I've got the link to the digital article and also the PDF. So I'm kind of covering both sides there. But also, some files are being weird about being downloaded as PDFs. I don't know if it's because I'm trying to name the file type too long of a name, but yeah, it's because I'm trying to write the citation in the file name. But we're gonna have to maybe shorthand some of that. So that's where I'm up to. I'm about to start on 1970s to 1979. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sources for 1960 to 1969. And these are all articles. But I'm wondering if I need some book chapters as well. I think book chapters are almost more popular at this time period because people were just writing full on books about what they thought in anthropology. In which case, I might have to kind of switch up how I'm going to find these sources because I cannot read full books. Or even, I don't think, can you imagine how long it would take to like put a, I don't know, 300-page book through? And then every time it said a word, then I had to still double check what the context of it is because that's what I'm thinking. If I'm looking for them to say primitive, that depending on the context could be evidence of bias or it could just be because that's the correct word to use. Do you know? So I'm also like, how am I going to do this? I don't know. I really don't. So I'm going to move on and start looking at 1979, see what the top cited sources are. Again, aim for maybe around 10 for now. Hey everybody, I'm back from my meeting now, and I don't know if you can tell my face, but I'm visibly much happier now. I knew that going to a meeting and actually being able to talk to my supervisor about things I'm worried about or that have been on my mind. Like, he isn't a therapist, but sometimes being able to talk to somebody else who's had similar experiences, you know, it gives you a lot of clarity and makes you, one, not feel like you're the only person in the world going through it, and two, your worries are valid, but we can do something about them, and three, you've got time to figure it out. And sometimes you just need somebody to say those things to you. So it was great. The key thing that I got from it, like, I was talking to him at the end of the meeting, which is why this is in my head. It was a 2 hour meeting, so bear with me while I try to figure out exactly what he'd said. I've got notes up on my laptop so I can maybe get to the point a bit quicker and stop rambling as usual. But you know, oh well, I would start looking at PhDs. And he was like, I think the key thing is you have to think about why you want to do a PhD. Maybe a little bit, it's maybe vain to say, but I want to be able to say I'm a doctor. It's not just my passion for archaeology, although that's a big part of it. I just think that's such a major achievement. I'll be the first person in my family to have ever done that, and that's something I want to say that I've done. Also, there's so many opportunities for like post PhDs. So like postdoctoral placements, which are often paid, sometimes include traveling. You get to work with so many different people, different places, different topics, usually ideally around the thing that you are an expert in, of course. Um, and there's all those things I really want to have access to, which I can't do without the PhD. Same with lectureships. He did make the good point that being a lecturer, they're few and far between in terms of jobs, but there's so much opportunity post PhD that's not just lecturing that it's worth it if that's what you care about and is being in academics and research. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that, and they also pay really well. A lot of postdoctoral research groups and opportunities pay really really well, and it'd be nice if the thousands of pounds I've spent actually went towards a well-paying job and not just a teacher salary. As much as I do then still want to be a teacher at some point in my life, but that doesn't have to be immediately. So we are talking about that, and he was saying, there's opportunities for funded PhDs, but for that you have to have a level of flexibility about topic, location, travel, um, things like that, which I am open to, obviously, to a certain extent. And he said if you did a PGCE, which is a teaching qualification, it's plenty of opportunities to do that within our university or York St John's, so it's not a total miss to try and do that. Um, and part of me as well was saying how I feel quite frustrated about not having experience in archaeology, whether that be on site in excavation, working in post-ex, volunteering for conservation, things like that that I've not really had time to do because I've been working full time, and how I feel quite frustrated because I know that working's not pointless or futile because it pays for me to be able to stay at university and do the things I love. But it's frustrating when it feels like you have to split yourself between two things, especially when one of those things takes away the time and focus that you can put to something you're passionate about. And really inspiring, really good chat. He was saying, he worked practically full time or part time throughout his undergrad and masters, and then on and off in the gap between masters and PhD while he was trying to save up money to be able to do the PhD. And at times he also felt quite frustrated that stocking shelves. What the hell does that have to do with Paleolithic research? What the hell does that have to do with archaeology? And he was kind of saying about think about the transferable skills you gain from that. Working in management, working with the public, problem solving, all those things that you learn from any other job is transferable to a job in archaeology. So it's not futile to be doing something that's not archaeology related because you still learn skills which, applications look for. Um, and like you can try and make them applicable. Oh, well, tell me a time where you had to deal with the public. Well, I could tell you a million times. I've been doing that for 6 years nearly. Oh, tell me a time when you had to work in a team. A lot of excavation is teamwork. A lot of research is teamwork. Well, I've been doing that also for years. So that made me feel a lot better because it didn't make me feel, I haven't missed out by not having the time or money to go volunteer in archaeology. I've actually been paid to gain a lot of the skills that other people didn't get paid for. And I was like, that's actually a really brilliant way to look at it. And I feel much better. Although I still really do want to get some actual archaeology experience on my CV sometime. Um, which he said, well, a good time to do that would be after January, the hand-in date for my research. There's going to be a period of time waiting for feedback and having to do reviews or changing things for the final insert basically. And he was like, if you're still working part-time, that's the perfect time to volunteer because you don't actually have uni work to do now, so you can do volunteering work, which then you can put on your CV. I was like, true, maybe this is actually like I'm rushing it in my head. I've got time to do these things, the time is just not right this second. um so yeah, that was really good, and I hope that also might make some other people feel good about all the hard work they're doing that might not be related to their interests, but hard work nonetheless. And so, in terms of my data collection and literature collection for analysis and all those things, he basically said, I think it would be easier to use an AI, which you know how I feel about that. However, using AI as a tool to search for something and like draw it out of the internet is obviously entirely different to using generative AI. And I think I'm going to have to concede at this point that I don't think my research is going to be possible or done to a high enough level or detail or quality if I don't use some kind of automation processes. And although AI is maybe something I don't love, using like Google Gemini, which is the one our university supports and has done all the ethical consideration for, to search for papers that talk about Neanderthals' capacity, and then for it to list me the papers, is really no different than Googling it. But it saves time because I won't have to be trolling through Google Scholar, JSTOR, Your Search, etc. And so in doing that, that means I'm going to have to really be working on my methods. So writing a workflow. What is it I'm searching for? What are the responses that AI is giving me? How does it work? Why am I doing this? What are the decisions I'm making? So basically, I'm going to have like a logbook or like a working document where every time I do anything related to my research, I'm writing it down because that'll make my methods writing at the end way easier. I'm also hearing big appendices on its way, because when you use the AI sources for searching or automated situations, obviously there's a level of input that I do for manual work, but then it does all the data pulling out for you. Um, it sounds like you're gonna have to write a mega appendices for all the details of that, so that if anybody did want to replicate it or even scrutinize how you've chosen to do it, they can see every decision you've made. So that's cool. I've also heard that there is a specific student in the past who used AI to search through papers on the Paleolithic to draw out information. Um, we cannot figure out who that was or the actual paper, so I can't have a look at that right now. But I'm 99% sure there's going to be plenty online for me to have a look through, which will be good kind of examples, because at the minute I feel like I know what I'm doing, but there's probably a quicker and easier way. Also, in the methods, it's going to be a lot easier to say, um, my methods have been influenced by X, Y, and Z. And so, similar to X, I'm going to use the automation tool, whatever, um, inspired by Y. I'm going to be using the search terms or, whatever, just so you can then also reference other people, which solidifies your decision, because you're not just making it up and having to decide why. You can say that this is a system or a method that has worked for other people when using this tool, so I'm going to emulate the same thing. I was like, cool, okay, we can do that. So, after this 2 hour long conversation, which was very useful, of course, I basically have a list of things that I need to do for the next 2 weeks before I see him again. And I'm then going to present to him what my findings say. So, one, having a look at Google Gemini. How does it work? How will I use it? What kind of information will it report back? And what data can I work with from that? I also want to have a discussion with one of the other lecturers on computational archaeology who might be able to help me decide if using the Gemini is not only good for drawing out the papers, but also maybe drawing out the language that I want to use, or if using R is still definitely the better option for um, trolling through to pick up the language and themes that I'm looking for. So we'll have to see what happens when I have a play around with not Google Drive, Google Gemini. I need to have a look for literature on how other people have used AI, and also maybe some of the problems I've encountered. What have they done to fix that? Their methods to inspire mine. Um, what's this other note? Quantify results. How easy is it to approach? So, is it going to need AI or extra work? Will I actually maybe need to use a subsample? Because potentially the amount of literature I collect will be still too big, so I'm going to have to make some decisions there. So, we'll see. We also have now 100% decided this is going to be a comparative research effort. So, I'm going to be comparing literature that talks about Neanderthal capacities and also literature that talks about modern human capacities in the Paleolithic. And we're just going to see what happens. But I feel invigorated. I feel great now I've had this conversation. I feel more confident, and I would say that was a 10 out of 10 meeting. Thank you to my supervisor. I honestly don't know what I would have done without him at this point. I'm so, so grateful that I just got randomly assigned him to help me out in third year, because he's a real one. He makes me feel so much more confident and like I know what's going on. And I don't think you could ask for any more than that. Okay, I'm gonna end this weird mishmash vlog here because it's Saturday, got work Sunday, Monday I got the dentist. So I'll probably catch up with you in the next vlog on Monday when I'm back to doing some uni work, because we've got T minus 2 weeks to try and figure out all of this searching system using the AI and talking to people about what's the best process to do. And so I'm not doing it right now, and this video is long enough with rambles and random like inserts about how difficult things are, so we're just gonna end it here. But if anybody watched, thanks for watching. I'm sure you didn't, but great advice from a supervisor at the end of this vlog, so if anybody did get that, I hope it's also helpful to you as well. Congratulations to everybody who graduated this week. I'm so, so proud of all my friends, although I'm sad everybody's leaving. bit rude. There's basically nobody left in York once you all go, and I'll miss you all lots. But it's been a great time, hasn't it? 4 long years of working hard, and it all seems worth it once you get to walk across that stage, even though it is a stressful day, let's be honest. But yeah, I'm gonna go now, and I'll chat to you in the next vlog. Love you lots. Bye.